Welcome back to the Snap Count, the preview show on the Big Play Sports Network, brought to you by FanDuel. I'm Trai, Essex, your host, and this is my man and your quarterback in mind, Mr. Charlie Batch. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. It is reunion weekend. Finally, it is here. 20th reunion, 20th anniversary since Super Bowl XL in Detroit. Took the bus home. A lot of guys coming in town, Charlie. I'm excited. I know you're excited too. You're already on ground zero. You're already there, but I'm sure you're excited to see all the fellas come back in town.
Absolutely. I'm here. Obviously, everybody's arriving at different times, but the majority of the guys will be in tonight and first thing Saturday morning. So this is going to be a fun-filled weekend. And I'm excited to see all the fellas coming in, man, because it's been a long time and something that we all accomplished together. And this is what makes it special.
Right. Coach Cowher, Coach LeBeau. I'm excited to see him. Darren Perry, some coaches I haven't seen or talked to in a long time. It's going to be great. I know Joey Peasy himself has a tailgate, little
Yeah.
cornhole action going on. Looking forward to beating some folks. You any good at cornhole, CB?
A little bit, if I need to go out there and do some things, I will, but I don't play it consistently. So I can't brag on myself yet.
You better get right, man. We got In the Pocket coming up pretty soon, right? November
Hey, that's
13th.
it. Yeah,
Cornhole
absolutely.
is going to be
November
a part of it, man.
13th. Absolutely. Pool, poker, ping pong event. This is our in the pocket event that we have for Best of the Batch Foundation. And this is our only fundraiser that we have of the year. So it's more for our after school programs and our STEAM programs. We say STEAM instead of STEM because we include the A for art. So it's a special time all around the year. It's just our 16th annual. So we're doing it tailgate style.
Nice.
So again, this is going to be exciting. So it's going to be November 13th. So if anybody's interested in it, they can go to batchfoundation.org.
Nice, man. Looking forward to that. I'm going to whoop up on some folks when I get there. But before we get there, man, we got a pretty crucial game coming up against the Indianapolis Colts, the hottest team in the AFC, coming in at 7-1 and number one in the AFC, number one offense in the NFL. Daniel Jones having a resurgent year. Jonathan Taylor having an MVP caliber year. Shane Steichen is in his bag. O-line is rolling. Man, we got our work cut out for us this weekend, man. And it's going to be a good weekend because we're there. Hopefully we can get some Super Bowl XL vibes. But like I said, this is a tough team coming into town on the heels of these two losses that we just endured.
And you're hoping that, seeing that the alumni back in and maybe that energizes or ignites, what's going on with this active team. Because again, we were where they were 20 years ago, trying to accomplish and at the end of the season hoisting that Lombardi trophy. So as they see the guys interacting and, the crowd is going to be exciting. But again, it's a tough Indianapolis team and nobody expected them to be where they are right now. Yeah. So like you mentioned, Daniel Jones, he is playing extremely well. But again, a lot of that comes because he has a running game. And when you have that type of running game, that makes everything a lot easier because that minimizes the coverages. And when you're successful on first down, now you can mix that play action game in and push the football down the field.
Have you ever seen Stranger Things, man? The show on Netflix?
I have not, no.
Well, there's this whole alternate world called the Upside Down, man. And if anybody had told me that at the beginning of camp that the Indianapolis Colts with Daniel Jones at the head would be the number one team in the AFC, I would say we're living in upside down because it's insane what's happening with his career. We've seen that a lot in NFL, right? Baker Mayfield going in Tampa, Sam Darnold doing his thing in Seattle, Geno, his time in Seattle going to the Raiders, really, turning their career around. And Daniel Jones is definitely doing that in Indianapolis. And Shane Steichen probably was on a hot seat coming into the season. Hadn't really developed Anthony Richardson. That O-line wasn't that whole little incident with him subbing himself out last year, I think soured everybody's opinion on him. And there wasn't a lot to look forward to, I think, from a preseason perspective when it came to the Colts, but they've definitely turned that on its head.
Yeah, it is. And sometimes a change of scenery is always good, right? And that was what you see with Daniel Jones. But when you talk about Anthony Richardson, again, this is a guy who had limited starts coming in. So you knew he was going to be a project. But if you're a coach on a hot seat or potentially going to be in a hot seat, you don't have time.
Right.
You got to play the guy that's going to go out there and get the job done. And that's exactly what Daniel Jones is doing at this particular point. But again, he has a lot of experience. He saw the success that he had in New York when he had Saquon Barkley behind him. And now this is very similar to what you're seeing now here in Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor probably the MVP. But again, we know the MVP is a quarterback award, but
Right.
he's very deserving of this. And the accolades go because that offensive line up front, they are getting it done. And I'm looking at the holes that Taylor is running through. Oh my goodness. That just let you know that they are getting their job done in a big way.
Yeah, and not just offensively, defensively, they have one of the better defenses in the league when it comes to giving up points. Now, they're sixth at 19.6 points, 19.3 points given up a game. Sixth in the NFL. They're 24th in yards given up. So they're pretty much the definition of bend don't break. So um, as we go through the roster and we look at the position groups, starting with the quarterback position. Obviously, we just talked about the resurgent year that Daniel Jones is having. We have our own quarterback that's turned a lot of people's opinion of himself, and A-Rod, with his year last year in New York and now coming to Pittsburgh. He's the one of the few bright spots for this 4-3 Steelers team that has been putting out consistent work week in and week out. He's having a good year, 15 touchdowns, I believe, to 4 interceptions. Who do you think has the advantage in this quarterback matchup?
Man, both guys statistically are playing very well. And I think
Mhm.
ultimately, when you look at just the numbers, you have to go with Daniel Jones at this point because his yardage are more and that percentage, completion percentage is a little bit better as well. So
Right.
you can lean there. So I would give a slight advantage to the Colts in this particular manner. But this is what gets me excited because A Rod is listening to this. And
Right.
I'm sure, Coach Tomlin he always does a very nice job of kind of dangling that low hanging fruit, right? Hey, here's what they're saying about Daniel Jones. Here's what they're saying about you as the older veteran guy. So again, he's going to be able to push those buttons, and it wouldn't surprise me if Aaron Rodgers is now going to turn around and put up some big numbers. But again, long way of saying Daniel Jones gets the advantage.
Yeah. Hate to go against our Hall of Fame quarterback in A-Rod, but the hottest hand in it, and he has a say in the MVP votes too, because of the turnaround season that he's having. Granted, it helps having a Jonathan Taylor running the ball and opening up the play action passes. He has a wonderful, wonderful tight end in Tyler Warren to throw the ball to that I think is giving them Dallas Clark vibes back when he used to put in work with Peyton Manning and the rest of that trio, a quartet that they had in the early 2000s. But I agree, Daniel Jones slightly over A-Rod, but it's not by much. And I think definitely A-Rod is going to play with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, seeing these type of things. Daniel Jones having a resurgent year, but A-Rod's a Hall of Famer. I'm sure he's going to come in and put in work. Now, moving on to the running back position, it goes without saying it. We love Jalen Warren. He runs the ball hard. He does exactly what we want from a running back perspective. He needs more touches. But there's no denying who the best running back in the NFL is right now. Jonathan Taylor, 12 touchdowns, leading the league in rushing by 100 yards over Jared Cook. Um, he is the engine of this offense. How he goes is how this offense goes. And so they definitely have the advantage in the running back category. They have Abdullah backing up, who's been in the league for like 10, 11 years, who's been effective as well. Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell have been playing good ball. I don't think they're getting the ball enough. I think if they did, I might feel a little bit different about this, but I think the running back advantage goes to the Colts.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The advantage definitely goes to the Colts, and that's the challenge that the Steelers have had because they haven't been able to control the time of possession. That means lack of success on first down. So again, those type of things need to come into play when you're playing at home specifically. But the way that Jonathan Taylor is playing up until this point, like I mentioned a while ago, hey, he is the MVP of the league at this particular point,
Yeah,
and he is playing like it. He looks like he's healthy. I know they have a bag coming up here soon, but ultimately where he is in the holes and the leaks that have been happening in the run defense of the Steelers, I know he's looking at this game and salivating and saying,
right.
"Is this going to be a pat stat game for me?" So
I
either
hope
way,
not,
well,
man.
I hope not either, but that's something I know he's looking
Look,
looking
I
at
got
right now.
Jonathan Taylor on my fantasy team, and he's been putting in work, but I can't start him this week out of good conscience. Like, if I'm going to go to the game and enjoy myself, I can't be secretly rooting for Jonathan Taylor. So he's going to the bench. J.K. Dobbins and Jalen Warren are starting. I am of the opinion, and this isn't even a hot take. If Jalen Warren outgains Jonathan Taylor total yards, we win this game. Mark
I
my
agree.
words. If Jalen Warren outgains, and so a big part of that is the play of the O line. Now, our O line has been playing good. It's been in an upward trajectory. Each week, this last week was a kind of a setback. I have no doubt they'll bounce back. But this Colts O line is just killing folks. Killing folks. Quentin Nelson, once again, is having an all pro season. They got Braden Smith, another veteran, on the at right tackle. Gonclaves, the third round pick, I think, from last year, is having a Pro Bowl season. And that's really where it's starting. The interior of the O line is moving people out the way. Jonathan, on these runs, Jonathan Taylor is not getting touched until he's 10, 11, 12 yards downfield. He seems to have a big run every single play that he's going untouched on. And when you have a running back that's had 3 touchdowns 3 weeks in a row, you know the O-line is putting in work. And so the Colts have the clear advantage here, even though I think Pittsburgh is doing well and moving in the right direction.
And when you talk about the offensive line and what you want it to look like, put on a Colts film. That's
Yep.
what you want those guys up front. They're gelling all at the same time. Communication is clean at the line of scrimmage. And like you mentioned, 10 yards down the field before this guy's even getting touched. So this is something that I give the advantage to the Colts. The Steelers offensive line right now, we don't know right now. As I say, Amalo, he didn't practice the last couple of
Yeah.
days. They didn't list him out, but again, today when that injury report comes out, we'll have a designation as it relates to what his game status looks like right now. But if your best offensive lineman isn't there, Isaac Seumalo, it's going to be tough for them to do it. And the reason why I don't think he's going to play, and I always go use this rule as I'm watching the game and even go on the post game. If a guy leaves the game with the injury and does not return, the chances of him playing the following week is slim.
Right.
Sayamalu went out. He didn't return. I don't expect to see him in this game. But again, if he's not in this game, how does the jumbo package look like for the Steelers? Something that has become an identity of this Steelers offensive line. And without all your pieces right now, who's the next guy that's going to be able to step up and keep the momentum going in that big jumbo package?
I will say that to your point about Isaac, it's tough with a pec injury, especially to come back and after not coming back into the game on Sunday and not practicing the last 2 days. That's just a tough injury to deal with. I have faith Spencer Anderson is going to come in and play well in his stead. Zach was also limited, but the same injury as last week. I think he'll end up being fine. He did get out on the field yesterday. But what will that jumbo package look like? We have Pete as a backup. We have Ryan McCullum as a backup. And so, yeah, one of them are going to have to step in and play that jumbo package. I don't think we need that to run. We should be able to run without 6 O linemen on the field, and we should be able. It definitely gives Aaron more options from a wide receiver receiving standpoint if we don't have that 6 lineman in there, and instead another tight end or wide receiver. So we should be able to run without it, but it's definitely becoming a priority for us and it's part of our image, and so it's going to be tough. Indy has the advantage there. We don't know if Isaac is going to come back or not. Hopefully he does. Have faith in Spencer Anderson, though. When it comes to the tight end and the wide receivers, again, DK has been putting in work. He is our number one threat. What does that look like from the second wide receiver standpoint? So I think Roman Wilson played well, showed last week that he's ready to step up in that role. But is it enough? Indianapolis has Pittman that's having a breakout year. I think he's up there as far as receiving touchdowns. If I'm not mistaken, he has 6 touchdowns, which is tied for second in the league. So he's balling. We have issues with tight ends historically, and Tyler Warren is already playing like one of the best tight ends in the league. And Alex Pierce, a deep ball guy who's had most of his catches come down the field, and he has more deep ball thrown to him and completed than just about anybody else in the league. So I got to give the Colts the advantage here as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. Agreeing with you on that. The Colts again have the advantage that way. They're making the plays down the field when they need it, and right now their tight end play is better than what we're getting on a consistent basis. And the tight end is always the quarterback's best friend. And when you can find him knowing that he's singled up, again, you're going to you're going to find him. And again, the injuries that are happening in the Steelers secondary and the challenges that they've had with tight ends, this is going to be a matchup that's going to play out early in this ball game to see if the Steelers have fixed that. So
Mhm.
again, that question is going to remain the same as this game unfolds. But the Steelers receivers, they have to continue to step up. You talked about Roman Wilson. Yes, he had 4 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown catch in that game. In the quote that Aaron Rodgers, kind of came out of, he says he's liking where Roman is at this particular point. So anytime your quarterback is feeling good about you and speak publicly, that lets you know he's going to try to find you more in the game.
Right. I just love his general disposition, Roman Wilson. He attacks the ball. He looks like he wants to be out there. Hopefully he can develop. Marquez Valdez Scantling. I know that that rumor, or not a rumor, he hasn't signed yet this week. He's not on the team yet, right? Looking at bringing him in next week, but nothing's set in stone, and nothing happens until some pen has happened to paper, and that hasn't happened yet. So we got who we have in there. Scotty Miller hasn't practiced, right? Ben Skoranek is hurt. I think he had a neck injury. He did practice yesterday in full. I like when Ben Skoranek's out there, give us another big body. But by and large, we got to see more from Roman, see if he keeps on going on the upward trajectory, and see how Calvin Austin gets integrated back into this offense, because we need some big plays. But obviously, the advantage goes to the Colts. And offensively, clean sweep. I hate seeing all that blue. Not one Steelers logo on there.
And the one thing that is important for the Steelers, especially at the wide receiver group, somebody outside of DK is going to have to make a play, and they have to do it consistently because that trade deadline is November 4th.
Right.
So if these guys don't make a play or something goes away, that means now the Steelers will continue to look at that trade potential for anybody that's out there, or maybe pick up a free agent. So if you are those other younger guys that are on this roster on the receiver group, this is probably the biggest game of the season for you thus far.
Got to step up, fellas. Got to step up. If you want that role moving forward, it's a big role for us. Got to step up. Don't have Omar in them streets looking to make the will and deal. Give them some confidence going into this game, after this game, that you can do what Aaron needs you to do. And so that's honestly going to go a long way on if we had success as an offense. As we turn to the defensive side of the ball, the one defensive advantage I think we have, and it's a tough one. It's barely. I think our D line is better than theirs. I think we have the better personnel up front. Have they performed to our standards, to their standards? No, but I think it's there. I think it's the potential is there. They're capable. I love the way Harmon has been playing. I saw the stat the other day. He leads all rookie D linemen in total pressure. So the more he's playing, the more he's affecting the game. Keanu Benton, we need more out of him as a pass rusher, obviously against the run. I know Cam has gotten in their butts. Cam is having a good year quietly. It's just tough when he's the only one consistently doing his job in the run game. So the Colts D line has been doing well. They, like I said, they give up yards. They bend, but they don't break. They toughen up in the red zone very well. But I think the Steelers have the advantage on the defensive front.
See, this is one of the ones, and I think I picked the Steelers as far as the defensive front, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see that. So when you go for this is where I think when I look at what the defensive line of the Steelers are doing, Derek Harmon, he has to be on the field more. They got to
Mhm.
get out of that nickel package. If you put the nickel package out to put Harmon on the field, because again, you at least have a big nickel package that you can defend against the run. It may take away from the pass rush, but again, you need to now stop the bleeding in that capacity, especially since the last 2 games that you're talking about giving up 142 yards for against the Bengals. You gave up 94 yards against the Packers. Those things can't continue to happen. And you
Right.
know that Indianapolis is going to run the football. This has to be the biggest challenge of the year for this defensive front. That's why I'm going with them as it relates to giving the advantage to the Steelers.
Oh, I said you had the Colts up there. You're giving an advantage to this. You're switching. You're going to the Steelers now, right? Not the
No,
Colts.
no, I'm going to the Colts. I was just making sure you were on your P's and Q's.
I'm
But
on
ultimately,
Colts. The Forrest Buckner has been playing his butt off. Grover Stewart,
oh no,
Quiddy Pay.
yeah, you're right. You're right. You're going with the Steelers. You're right. I was going with the Colts. I was
You're
saying all of
going.
that, but I'm giving my as it relates to my reasoning as a racer. So I apologize for that when I saw your sack go up there, but I did go with the Colts. But again, I just stopped when it came to the bleeding from that running game. They have to add Derek Harmon to this 100%.
Look, the only reason I went with the Steelers is just so I couldn't have all Colts, man. I was going. It was a point where every single logo on my side was going to be. It was hard to argue against the way that we've been playing versus the way the Colts have been playing on the defensive front. We can't stop the run consistently, and we can't get enough pressure consistently up front. But we have the talent there. Big fan of with the way Derek Harmon is playing. If we could just get it all on the same page at the same time, I think they're due for a big game. So it starts up front now. Moving on to linebackers, man, I have been disappointed in our linebacking play through and through. Patrick Queen, Cole Holcomb, Peyton Wilson, the main snap getters on the inside. Obviously, TJ gets a lot of attention, and obviously Alex Highsmith. Herbig is not on the field enough, and I'm not quite understanding because he seems to have an impact every time he's on the field. But from a linebacking core, we just have not been playing well consistently. Whereas on the Colts side, Zaire Franklin's having another big year, tackling machine. Jermaine Pratt, a holdover from the Bengals. I remember his days with the Bengals, now with the Colts, having a good year, man. And so based on the way that Patrick Queen is playing, who is the leader of that group, who I thought was playing really well, had a 2-game stretch where I thought he had turned the corner and was going to be that guy for us. He's proved me wrong since then. And so from that aspect, I got to give the Colts the advantage from a linebacking perspective.
Yeah, I'm going with the Colts as well because they're playing better against the run. And when you look at what the Steelers are doing defensively, you talked about Patrick Queen here. It just looks like there's too much going on at the line of scrimmage for him. It's one thing to call the defense to getting him set, but it looks like he's trying to tell everybody else what to do, and that's impacting his job. And that
Mhm.
doesn't allow him to go out there and play. So I'm hoping he gets back to normal as it relates to being able to do the things that he's capable of doing. But again, I probably expect to see more of Cole Holcomb in this game because he's more of a thumper getting downhill and with the capability of being able to stop the run. Yes, Peyton Wilson, he has his speed. He's an all around guy. But I just think looking at this game on first and second down, I think I probably expect to see Cole Holcomb more. But all that being said, the Colts has the advantage in this group as well.
Yeah, there's no denying that. And then in the secondary, it's really hard for me to give the Steelers any credit here, being the 32nd ranked pass defense in the NFL. Looking at the passing stats and just the defensive stats as a whole, we haven't been this bad from a yard perspective in relation to the rest of the NFL since 1988. So it's literally been almost 40 years of Steelers football, uh, of defensive play that hasn't been nearly as bad as this team has. And our secondary, especially, has been banged up. There's been a lot of communication issues. We lose Deshaun Elliott this week. I like the signing of Kyle Duggar. He's a thumper. He's a box guy, but he has history with Jabril Peppers. And those guys did some good work when they were with the Patriots. And so hopefully he got caught up to speed this week. We're going to have to depend on him. But also we got to see what Thornhill is going to do, what Chuck Clark is going to do. JPJ, we need more from him. Obviously, Ramsey, what is he going to play corner? We're going to get to see more of Brandon Eccles because Slay has been struggling on that side. So a lot of questions in general, whereas the Colts don't have those questions. Kenny Morris having another good year. Bynum at safety leads the team with 2 interceptions. They got Blackman at corner, another guy that has 2 interceptions. So Colts get the advantage here again, and it's not even close, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not close at all. When you just statistically everything that you talked about being 32nd ranked, this is the reason why you brought Jalen Ramsey in here, Darius Slay, Brand, these guys adding those pieces to the equation. But for whatever reason, they're not getting it done, which ultimately impacts the rush game as well. So the sacks aren't up there where they typically are because we're playing a lot of man. And anytime you line up there and the quarterback knows immediately where to go with the ball before the ball snap, the ball's
Mhm.
coming out quick and he's not holding on to the football. So again, rush and coverage, they have to go hand in hand. And right now, it's not there. Safety position is a big key for me. Yeah, we saw what it looked like without Deshaun Elliott there early on in the season, and what it looked like when he is in the game.
Mhm.
Vastly different, and that's what happened when you have Duggar and you have Peppers. They're going to have to step up, and I say more of Peppers because when Elliott was out, that's when they brought him onto this team. So
Mhm.
now that he has a month in the system, hopefully he's able to now contribute more if he's playing more on a regular. So this is going to be a position group that I ultimately look at to see, are they going to mix up a little zone in here?
Right.
Let's change up coverages to confuse them and not just be so predictable when you're lining up knowing where everybody is going to be.
Saw a stat that we are getting pressure at the third fastest rate in the NFL. They're getting to a quarterback or pressuring the quarterback 2.54 seconds or something like that, which is third fastest in the league. So if we can play some zone, if we can get Daniel Jones to hesitate for that just split second, that's all we need. Half a second to a second longer of holding on to the ball, the rush can get there. And so we need that from the offensive line, or not from the offensive line, from the secondary. And hopefully they can step up with Deshaun Elliott out, get some clear communication. I am worried that things will be a little vanilla, especially if Duggar's in there a lot. But the easiest thing for vanilla type defenses is some zone, mix some zone in there, and be a little bit more creative in our pressures, man. We are so predictable when we blitz right now for some reason.
There's no twist up front, no none of that that the offensive line of the opposing team has to prepare for. And anytime you get labeled as a one-trick pony,
Mhm.
Nick Herbig became that at one point, but he's elevating because he's becoming a better run defender. He's leading the team in the sacks, leaving his team in sacks with 4.5. If
Right.
he's going to be a one-trick pony, put him on the field on third down. We don't
Mhm.
care because he's the one getting it done in his limited reps. Now I know Alex Highsmith is back, but they have to figure out a part of that rotation to make sure that these guys are fresh, that they can continue to get after the quarterback to the point of the stats that you mentioned already.
Right. TJ is getting pressured or getting chipped at a higher rate than anybody else in the league. He's gotten chipped like 88 times, which is 20 more than second place in Myles Garrett. So somebody else has to step up. Nick Herbig has done it in limited reps. We need to see more of him. Got to figure out why we're not. And so, third phase of the game, special teams. This is something that I think with Boswell, obviously being the best kicker in the world, I give us the advantage. Our coverage teams have been good. Our return teams have picked up. I think with Keyshawn Williams back there returning kicks and Gainwell. So I think we're on the verge of breaking out. A big return to give us some good field position. We have one of the better punters and weightmen in the league. And then obviously, yeah, in Boz we trust. So I think we got an advantage there in special teams.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Steelers do have an advantage. And one person, your personal protector, that was one I was looking at last week because we lost Miles Killebrew with an injury as he's lost for the season. But again, who's stepping up in that manner? Jabril Peppers was one of those ones. Kenneth Gainwell at some point stepped in. So the protection is there, allowing Waitman to get the ball down the field.
Yeah. Coaching. Now, no doubt Coach Tomlin is a future Hall of Famer. But there have been some questions on how this unit has been playing this year. Certain decisions, especially in the secondary and how we deploy our defense. Coach Tomlin has a heavy hand on the defensive side of the ball. Let's get the rumor squash right now. He's not calling the plays. Terrell Austin calls the plays on game day. Everybody needs to know that. Um, but Shane Steichen, he's in his bag right now, man. What he's done to turn Daniel Jones' career around, what he's done to elevate this offensive line play, bringing in Sperano Jr. They're one of the best units in the league. He's one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, and has worked wonders for Jonathan Taylor, who was already an elite back in this league, but he's going to have one of those years again where he is clearing the way, showing that he's one of the top one or two backs. And so, and the defense is flying around. They're not giving up a lot of points, even though they're giving up yards. So Shane Steichen, got to give him a lot of credit. He was on a hot seat, and right now they have the advantage from a coaching perspective.
Yeah, when you look at what's going on there, the Colts in every mindset, it looks like they are elevating their game. And the one thing that, especially over the last couple of weeks, at least from the Steelers' perspective, the coaching staff was always one step ahead of where they are. And that has to get better. And you're hoping that Mike Tomlin is able to change that as they're playing at home. So I think crowd noise is going to have to play a factor. And those in-game adjustments just hasn't been something that we have seen
Right.
over the course of the season. That has to change in a hurry. But again, where Shane is at this particular point, you have to give the advantage to the Colts because of their record, number one, in the manner that they're doing it.
Right. Overall, man, the Colts come in here with a lot of advantages, the way they've been playing, but it's a home game for us. We're coming off heartbreak the last 2 weeks, not playing well. If I think when it comes down to the keys to winning this game, first and foremost for me, you have to stop JT at all costs. This man has had 3 touchdowns, 3 games in a row. He is on a tear right now. He is the engine of this team. This offensive line is making tunnels, huge tunnels for him to run through right now. And so we got to find a way to get him behind the scrimmage. He is always a run threat. Have to, have to get him settled. Second point, dude, we have to stop the explosive plays defensively. We have to. Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor, I just alluded to, seems to always get chunks of yardage every time he touches the ball. We have to limit those. They will get some. It's a good offense. You can't stop them from having it completely. But if you can limit them, especially in the red zone, keep them on the red zone, make them settle for field goals, we have a chance. And then lastly, got to control the clock. And I'm saying not just run the ball. I'm saying Aaron Rodgers needs to use the entirety of that game clock between plays. Snap the ball with 5 and 4 seconds left on each snap. Obviously, we do need to run the ball more in the first, especially in the second half, because it's going to work for us. I have faith in Jalen Warren. I have faith in this O line to be able to move and make lanes for the running game against this defensive line from the Colts, this front seven from the Colts. So if we do those 3 things, and we have to do them, I think we can come out of here with a victory.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on everything that you said there, and we have a little overlap there as it relates to your three keys versus mine. But the first for me is stopping a run. Jonathan Taylor getting the ball, and that offense runs through him. So if you can hopefully stop him and make the Colts one dimensional and force Daniel Jones to push the football down the field, that's going to be an advantage of the Steelers. But let's not forget, this guy is mobile. He
Mhm.
can move out of the pocket. So if you're going to commit to that, you better have a spy on Jones to make sure he
Yeah,
doesn't beat you with his
good
feet.
point.
So,
Good point.
so number two, my second piece is time of possession. Something that you mentioned as your third key. They
Mhm.
have to control that. How do you do that? That means obviously being successful on first down and picking up third down opportunities. Last week they were terrible on third downs, didn't allow a new set of downs. And guess what? Now you gave the Packers the advantage when it came to that. That's something you cannot do if you're trying to limit Jonathan Taylor in this game. So they're going to have to control the time of possession. And then my third point, no foolish penalties. You
Mm.
cannot give up cheap yards. Those hidden yards in those penalties, I don't care if that's a holding penalty, new set of downs on the first down, 15-yard penalty, flipping, changing plays, and those type of things. So again, the Steelers just cannot beat themselves in the manner that they did. They have had they had a DPI, they had unnecessary or unsportsmanlike conduct in that game that gave up those yardage. So again, those things cannot happen. If they're able to minimize those foolish penalties, that gives them a chance in this game.
That's a good point. DK got that personal foul, changed a 3rd and 2 to a 3rd and 17, effectively ending that drive. So yeah,
Right.
no foolish penalties. We are working with such thin margins as a team. We, from a talent perspective, if I had to just gauge both teams, the Colts have more talent. They have more explosive playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. Their offensive line is better from a talent perspective. And so we can't beat ourselves in any form or fashion with penalties like the ones we saw last week. We can't have pre-snap penalties when we're in the red zone or we have third and short, And so to your point, I think those are very good points, and we need to be able to not beat ourselves.
And that's ultimately what's going to happen. So they got to be able to do it. When you look at it from an offensive perspective, crowd noise should not be an issue. Last
Right.
week, we talked earlier in the week
Mm.
as it relates to what that crowd looked like from the Packers, which caused the Steelers to go to silent count. I don't think
Woo.
you're going to have that problem at home again against the Colts. I just don't know if their fan base travels as much as well as what the Packers did. So that should not be an issue offensively. Defensively, clean the communication up because it's going to be loud. Crowd noise is going to be there. Make sure everybody is on accord with those hand signals, all playing the same defense.
Man, nothing pissed me off more than having to see us go on silent count at home. I've never seen that before. That was if that wasn't a wake up call, I don't know what else is. That was disappointing to see, and even Bruce BA mentioned it on the Pat McAfee show. He noticed it too, so I know the coaches noticed it. And so the Colts don't travel like that. Green Bay is obviously one of those franchises that are comparable to Steeler Nation, but who knows, man? You give them any kind of momentum, the few fans they have, can't let them get loud.
You can't. And the one thing that used to be in the Steelers' favor because we were so successful at home, that has changed over the last 20 games. And when you look at just where they are, the Steelers are 11-9 in their last 20 games. They have to use these home games as the advantage right there. The Colts'
Mhm.
only loss came when they were on the road. Hopefully, the Steelers are able to make it a second loss.
Dude, do we need to get rid of Renegade, man?
Ooh,
So
it
it
hasn't
has
been
not
working, Trey.
worked for
No.
us. Renegade has not been working for us. It doesn't hit the same as it did. You don't get those Renegade goosebumps from the James Harrison days and all that. And so I don't know, man. Maybe these kids need another song to get them hyped because Renegade doesn't seem to be working for the defense like it used to.
No, you're right about it. And they played it last week against the Packers, and they went right down and scored. And it just took all the air out of the stadium. So I don't know if you play it a little earlier in the fourth quarter, but again, how do you now get them excited and use that as a weapon? Because before, when you heard that, you knew something was going to happen in the Steelers' favor. And right now, it's just kind of phasing out. But to your point, I don't know if they need to change it because the fans still enjoy it. They just have to make plays on the field to get this crowd continuously to be in the game.
Might need a coach up in the box to determine when to play it. Like we should have played it after that fluky Tyler Kraft catch that went for 50 something yards that was after that third down that we should have had with that penalty, that offsides penalty. So that whole collection of plays right there really shifted the momentum. So Renegade should have been played right then and there before we lost the lead. But before we get out of here, Charlie, we couldn't let you get out of here without making a FanDuel bet. I got a little 3-leg parlay. I want you to tell me real quick.
Okay. What you got for me?
Let's see. We got Aaron Rodgers. First of all, let me go back to the over and under changed a point. It is 50.5 right now. I think it was 51.5 on Monday. You had the over on Monday. I'm assuming you have the over on Friday with it going down to 50.5.
Yeah, I'm going over. I
Mhm.
really do think that both teams will score. Weather-wise should not be a factor. So I think looking at this game, I think both teams will have very good offensive days.
All right. So 3-leg parlay right here. Aaron Rodgers at 233 and a half, 233.5 yards passing, over or under.
I'm going over because I think Indy will try to stop that run, but also they know Aaron can still throw the football, so they're not going to play pure man to man. They're going to play some cover two and ultimately force Aaron to kind of dink and dunk his way down the field. But again, when you have defense that play like that, sometimes quarterbacks get impatient because you want to try to now attempt a pass, a little bit more dangerous pass down the field, which takes
Mhm.
you off track. So I think Aaron's going to be a little bit patient, but I think also he's going to have over. It's going to be over for that. Over 233.
Over 233. Got it. Now we got to go to the coach side. Tyler Warren, over or under 5.5 receptions. We know that film was watched, and if film was watched, they saw how Tyler Kraft went off last week. If film was watched, they understand that historically that defense has had issues with elite tight ends. And Tyler Warren, he's just a rookie, but he's already showing elite qualities. Do you think he gets over 5.5? receptions.
I do, because that's the only position that you pretty much can guarantee that he's going to be singled up one-on-one pretty much from 20 to 20. And they're going to make sure that he is involved in his offense. Now, in the red zone, you can try to double team him there, but I just think he's going to make a bulk of his plays in the middle of the field. So I think I'm going over with this one.
Okay, last one. Over, under, Jaylen Warren, 82.5 total rushing and receiving yards. Jaylen Warren, I think, is the key between him and Gainwell and just the run game and the O-line in general for the Steelers to come out of here with a victory. He needs to have a good game. We need to use him and the running game to control the clock so Daniel Jones and that offense get less time on the field. Will he get over 82.5 rushing and receiving yards?
Ooh, man.
Over under.
I'm going over. And here, and the
Okay.
reason why I'm going over is because this is going to be a big game for Jaylen Warren, because he's sitting back and he's been hearing all week about who the best running back in the league is. He has a
Mhm.
chance to do something about that. And the way that the Colts are, I expect Jaylen Warren to probably play more snaps in this game than he's ever had, because I fully expect him to be out there on third downs as well. And if that's the case, no, we know he can pass block. He's going to get out on his route. He's going to make some plays in this game that is going to keep the sustained drives, but ultimately be a difference maker in this game. So I'm going over on both accounts.
All right. So I got you down. Chuck's 3-leg parlay. We got Aaron Rodgers over 233.5 passing yards. We got Tyler Warren over 5.5 receiving, 5.5 receptions. And then we have over Jaylen Warren, 82.5 yards rushing and receiving. That will give you a plus 77 buyout. $10 gets you $57 for Charlie's 3-leg parlay. Y'all put it in, win some money. I can bank on it. Charlie got this. All right, my man.
Yeah.
It's going to be good to see you and the rest of the fellas tomorrow. We got this reunion coming up. I shall be in town around 1:00 tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you and the rest of the guys.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to make sure we capture some of that content. And if we can add as much into this show, we're going to try to take you behind the scenes of what Alumni Weekend looks like over the weekend as we celebrate 20 years of Super Bowl 40. So it's just going to be an exciting weekend all around. I'm looking forward to seeing you and looking forward to seeing everybody else that was a part of that team.
Yeah, make sure you tune in 7:00 on Mondays to the Snap Count Show on X. You can find us on YouTube, on Big Play Pittsburgh, as well as Instagram, Big Play Pittsburgh. Subscribe. Tune in on Monday. You'll see the behind the scenes of the Super Bowl XL weekend. Looking forward to it, my man. See you soon, brother. Here we go.
Here we go.